So we obviously have an amazing group of women walking together.
You do.
And most of the time, everything goes smoothly. But sometimes we might have somebody on the trail somewhere who might not be cooperative. So, and that can happen in any situation. But how do we deal with somebody who's not cooperating with some of the guidance provided by our walk leaders?
Yeah, this is definitely a scenario that can happen. Particularly as people get tired. They can get a bit more irritable, they can have whatever mental loop playing, and you're going to ask them to do something that they don't want to do. So how do we handle these kind of situations? Well, we'll look at some concrete examples. For instance, if you had a person who is not going to make the checkpoint cut-off time, so they're walking too slow, they don't want to stop, they want to continue. Well, how we handle these situations is a similar kind of theme through all of them. First of all, you've got to listen to that person and really be attentive to what they're saying and understand them, because what we don't want is a confrontational situation. That's me kind of enforcing a rule on you that you don't want to go along with, right? That's when these things can kind of get out of control and be very difficult to manage. So first of all, you want to acknowledge that person's point of view, where they're at, understand and really listen and pay attention to how they're feeling. As I said, they may be really tired and irritable, the blood sugars may be low, take that on board. What can you do to help them in the first instance? After you've listened to them and they feel like they've been heard, then you can kind of present the counterpoint of view. And in this instance, it's, look, we're really sorry, but this is the logic around why we now need you to stop here and transfer forward, because we cannot have people walking in the dark, and that's what's going to happen if you continue. And if you remember at the outset of the day, do you remember we all agreed to those rules where we said, if we needed to, we'd get on the bus at the checkpoint, because that will allow you to complete the day. So you're trying to present it to them in a way that, you're here to support them, and this decision ultimately is to support them. And most of the time that's going to do the trick. It's just if you've explained it well and they feel like you're on your side, the vast majority of cases that will be enough to get people on board. If you've still got somebody who is very determined at this point in time, that's when you have to enforce it and say, look, I'm sorry, but you agreed to these rules. This is how it happens. You've got to stand your ground, and remind them that they agreed to a set of rules. And these rules are now coming into play, and you have to get them to go on the bus. So most of the time you don't have to get there. Most of the time, you get people on side, you listen to them, they can vent, you can empathise with the situation, then you explain the logic again of why we have to do it this way, and it's ultimately to help them and support them. And that's enough to diffuse most of those situations. And obviously the tone of voice that you're using and the way that you talk to people is very important, right? So try and take a deep breath yourself, where you might be dealing with something which could be a frustrating situation, but calm, patience, understanding, listening go a long way to diffusing any potential conflicts before they begin. Another example of an uncooperative participant might be somebody who's at the other extreme, who's racing along. Now, one of the great features about your event is that, it is very much a team spirit, and it's not a race, right? You're not giving out medals for the first fastest time and then medals for the second and third. So, that messaging will be there, obviously, on the day, that this isn't a race. It's about going together as a group, completing something in a team spirit together. So there's no point racing to the finish. You will have some practical ways you're going to manage it on the day. You're going to set out people who might have a more relaxed pace, slower walkers first, and then you're going to get the people to self-identify as the faster walkers and set them out later. So that in itself will help, but it's kind of a natural feature of a walk that people have different paces and abilities. You're going to regroup together at lunchtime. And then, the second half of the walk, yes, you will get the faster people, will overtake the slower people. That's how it happens. If you can get them to stop and take breaks, the checkpoints are one way to do that. That allows the group to kind of concertina back together again slightly, but understand that it's also a natural feature that it will stretch out during the day. But your best bet is just reminding those people, the faster paced people, that hey, it's not a race, let's just enjoy. And if you're walking with them, you know, little tricks that I used to do, oh, my shoelace is undone, just stop for a minute, you know, or somebody goes to the toilet, get the rest of the group to just wait. On that note, if somebody is going to the toilet, one thing you need to ask them to do is put their pack on the trail, so that you know that somebody has gone off the trail. The next person along goes, oh, somebody's gone to the toilet there, they'll just hold back a bit. And also we know that a person has actually gone off the trail. So try and remember that one, get everybody to leave their pack on the trail. That will take care of a lot of the uncooperative instances we might have.